About a month ago, I ordered some new cards for my Dinosaur deck, so this is going to be my somewhat upgraded version. It has all those new Ixalan cards, maybe not all of them obviously, but the cards I thought were cool enough to add to this deck. So this is kind of a upgraded revision of my Dinosaur deck. Not necessarily super budget because I do have some other cards in my collection that I decided to throw in there. Also, a lot of these cards I acquired a few years ago, so I didn't actually buy them when they're super expensive. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down some of those cards and the deck in general. It's pretty cool how popular this Commander's got. I mean, it's no wonder why it got pretty popular. The card's awesome, and dinosaurs are pretty cool anyway. But yeah, anyway, let's get into the deck. So I'm using Gishath. There's that new card, Panzalari or something like that you can play as replace of Gishath, but I just like playing Gishath because it's a big dino. You play big dino and you get more big dinos when you deal damage. So to me, that sounds super fun, super cool. I should also preface by saying this deck costs about like 220 bucks as of January 28th when I'm recording this. Also, I want to mention that my strategy with this deck aims at just ramping as fast as I can and only focusing on that and also surviving. And then we're going to ramp into Gishath or other big dinosaurs and then try and win the game that way. I kind of decided to focus all on that strategy and kind of go in 100% on that, so there isn't really too many other things here and there. I mean, there obviously is, but that's pretty much in essence the way the deck is meant to be played. Enemy of Gishath, you play it, you attack, you get more dinos on the field. Pretty cool, pretty awesome. That's their commander. This is a new pickup I got, Zakama. This card used to be like maybe 15-20 bucks, but I think I just picked it up for like 3 or 4. The card's beast. 9 mana and you get a 9/9 Vigilance Reach Trample. Already really cool. If you do cast it, you get to untap all your lands, but you don't necessarily need that effect. If you hit this off Gishath, man, your board's in a pretty nasty state. You also got a Lightning Bolt. You get to destroy some artifacts and or enchantments, and you get to gain some life if you have some extra mana lying around. So pretty versatile kind of card. Yeah, look at that artwork. It's like a Hydra almost. Really nice card. Also $3. I was fine paying that. It's not like super expensive. Trying to see if there's like a nice way to lay out these cards, but probably won't be. It's too hard with Commander. Got Galt, the Primal Hunger. Pretty basic here. I mean, it's a 12/12 with Trample, and you're going to be having some big dinosaurs on the field too, so at times if you want to cast this, it may only cost 2 mana, like assuming you don't hit it off of Gishath or something. Pretty standard. There's no reason to not play this card in the deck. We got Titanoth Rex. I think I had this in my other deck. It's good because it's an 11/11 big dinosaur. You can hit off Gishath. You can also cycle it for 2 mana, get in the graveyard, and I mean, you put a trample counter on something, but just having the cycle cost to draw some card, maybe you hit it earlier, or trying to get some extra land, or just some other card in your hand is pretty nice. Definitely having that flexibility, I think, is pretty important. Next up is Tara Squire. I know someone pronounced this in the comment section for me. I completely forgot, but same thing, just a big boy, 10/10 dinosaur. If you do cast it, it has haste and ward 10, but again, you don't feel like you have to cast it, but if you do, it's still pretty cool. Whenever it attacks, you're gonna fight something also. Another pretty beast card. Apex Ultistar, this is like $5-6 bucks right now. It's a 10/10, enters the battlefield, you fight something. Every time it's dealt damage, you get to fight something else. So you can just keep fighting things. Pretty cool card. Pretty cool card. Running this guy, pretty big flying dinosaur. It's got all the keywords on it, so just another good hit off of Gishath. I'm adding Polyraptor to the deck because I already had it. This card was at $23 about right now. Kind of expensive, and because we're not like I wouldn't say you need this card in the deck, because we're also not abusing the enrage mechanic. But if you do have this card and you do get it out and Gishath for free, and you do somehow ping it, or other people try to ping it during combat or with other cards, you're just getting free tokens. So it's definitely good, but we're not abusing the enrage mechanic, so it's not like absolutely essential to have. Next up, we got Verdant Sun's Avatar. This is going to help us stay in the game. It's going to allow us to gain some life every time a creature enters the battlefield. You definitely need this card in your deck because earlier in the game, again, you're not doing much but besides ramping, so you're going to need a way to come back later in the game, and gaining some extra life allows you to stay in the game. Next up, we got Tyrannorex. This card is so cool. Can't be countered. You get 8/8 for, I mean, it's 7 mana, but like, again, if you hit it off of Gishath, Trample, ward 4, haste, also you get toxic. But also, look at the artwork. Magnificent. Phyrexian dinosaur, that's awesome. Next up, we got Rampaging Brontodon. This is a new card I picked up. I think this is kind of older though. Every time this attacks, you're getting +1/+1 for each land you control. We are running a lot of lands in the deck, and again, we're having a lot of cards that ramp into these dinosaurs. So this is going to be a big boy every time it attacks. So we're gonna see how that plays out. It's gonna be kind of cool. Because even if we have Gishath out and we attack and we get this on the field, that's like 7-8 extra mana we're gonna have on the field. So that's gonna be like a 50-50 monster. Big boy. Gorging Ceratops gives all of our boys double strike. And if we get Gishath with double strike, we're just getting more hits potentially, or more dinosaurs onto the battlefield. Double strike's really good in this deck. I mean, obviously it's good in a lot of decks, but essentially even better in this deck. Got Galta and Mavern. I have yet to play with this card yet, so I really would like to, play with it. But 12/12, whenever you attack, you get dinosaur tokens, you get vampire tokens, you get to pick one. The artwork is also pretty intense. So yeah, I really want to play with this card. Guess you could also make that your commander too, but got Itai, Primal Conqueror. This card is like $18 right now. I think I got this for like $4, maybe $3, because no one's really playing it. When it enters the battlefield, you get the exile cards from people's library, and then you win the game, you get to play them for free. Then you could transform it and you get this card. Look how intense that is. Spinosaurus, trample, indestructible, and you get to attack with poison counters, and it's got 11/11 with trample. Man, the card's so cool. Definitely a lot more powerful than the previous one, the other Primal Conqueror. I forgot what it was actually called, Primal Storm, because this one, when it enters the battlefield, you're immediately getting the effects. The other one you have to attack with it, so it's a little bit less good, and also you can't flip it. I wouldn't say you definitely need this card for the deck, however, it definitely pushes the power level of the deck over the top because the card just does a lot. Kind of expensive, definitely good. New pick, Trumpeting Connoisseur. Got 7/6 trample, discover 5. That's kind of the new cascade effect that I learned about. It also kind of has like a lightning bolt on it too, but the main thing you're doing with this is the discover. So gonna get a big dino out, but then also potentially get even a bigger or another dino out. Not as big, but still another dino. New one too, Earth Shaker Dreadmaw. When this enters the battlefield, you get to draw a card for each other dinosaur you control. Hit this off Gishath. Oh, you're gonna be drawing a whole new hand. This card's also pretty cheap too. I'm looking at like 20 cents right now. Really good, like 6 mana, 6/6, and you get that effect. But it doesn't include this dinosaur though, so you can't just play this solo and then draw one card, which I guess makes it a little bit worse. But it's still a really good card, especially for this deck. So moving on, we got Trapjaw Tyrant. This card's like $20 too right now. Whenever it's dealt damage, you get to exile an opponent's creature until it leaves the battlefield, or this card leaves the battlefield. Now, I mean, that's a great effect, but this deck doesn't really abuse the enrage mechanic that much. Again, like the same thing we discussed with Polyraptor. So this isn't like the most powerful card. Also for $20, maybe I'm missing something. I don't think it's worth it unless you're, again, abusing the enrage mechanic. Then it's definitely really good. But for this deck in particular, I don't think this is absolutely essential. But again, I had the card and it's powerful, so adding it to the deck. But if you're going enrage, yeah, you kind of need it. If you're not, I don't think you need it. Temple Altisaur. This is going to help all of our dinosaurs stay alive, and it's also going to help us with our enrage cards. Kind of similar to Verdant Sun's Avatar, or the same reason why we have this card is to stay alive. Next up, we got Regisaur Alpha. Gonna give all of our dinosaurs haste. That is powerful in this deck, so need it. I mean, you get a 3/3 token, but the big thing is just getting all of our dinosaurs haste. Allows us to set up explosive plays. We got this guy, Pants Dude, the Sun Flavored. This is a new card I picked up. When this enters the battlefield or another dinosaur, we get to discover X, where X is that creature's toughness. Only do once each turn, but this also can be ran as a commander. But again, I wanted Gishath because Gishath is beast. But this is going to basically give all of our dinosaurs kind of cascade, or we can add it to our hand too. Really good value in a card. I would say you definitely need this card in any dinosaur deck. It's like $2-3, so it's not that expensive, so definitely pick it up. So for a semi-budget option, yeah, I think it's good enough to be added to any dinosaur deck. Got Ripjaw Raptor. I just really like this card. 2 mana, 4/5. Get the draw card every time it gets dealt damage. Really good for a blocker and even an attacker, just because your opponent's not going to want to. If your opponent even proxies once or twice during combat, or even something to remove it, you're getting a lot of value, I think. Got Forerunner of the Empire. Every time a dinosaur enters the battlefield, we have the option to deal 1 damage to each creature. We obviously do have some enraged stuff, so this can come in handy. This also gives us a way to destroy our opponent's smaller creatures or tokens. But also, when this enters the battlefield, we're going to search for any dinosaur we want. We get to put it on top of our library. So being able to do that to me is pretty powerful, because what if I want a certain card? What if I want to see it? Or what if I know I'm going to play Gishath the next turn? I'm going to put some card on top so I can hit it. Just stuff like that. So I thought it was good enough to add to the deck. Curious Ultisaur, new card. For 4 mana, you can get 2/5 Vigilance Reach, and whenever a Dinosaur deals combat damage to a player, you get to draw a card. Who doesn't want that? So this card's like $4 or $5. It's a little expensive. I think for what it does though, it's probably fine for a semi-budget option. If you're waiting, if you're on a budget, probably wait till it goes to like $2. But yeah, for this deck, obviously, this is my test piece on this deck. I want to try this out. This is the Nest Tender. You can pay some mana, tap this, and create a egg token. And whenever this egg token dies, you get to reveal the top card of your library to reveal a creature. You need to put that card on the battlefield. So this kind of gives like a somewhat of an alternate way in case Gishath is just destroyed or exiled or something happens to it. At least this, we can have another way of kind of cheating out some big monsters. So gonna be trying this out, seeing how good it is. Got Wayward Sword, 2 mana, 5/5, has Ascend. So if we control 10 or more permanents, we get the City's Blessing, and then we need the City's Blessing, so this can attack and block. So this kind of acts almost like as an enchantment the first couple turns it's out, because we can play an additional land on each of our turns. This is going to help us accelerate and get our mana out, so we can play the bigger dinos, or more importantly, Gishath. Got Tranquil Throwback. This kind of just a really versatile card. When we cast it, we can pay additional green, and we can destroy artifacts. We can exile library or graveyards and gain some life. So definitely helping us stay in the game and kind of having some interaction with our opponents in some other versatile ways. So good card. Got Topiary Stomper. 3 mana, 4/4 Vigilance, enters the battlefield. We get to search a library for a basic land, put it onto our battlefield, and can't attack or block unless we control 7 more lands. But again, the good thing is it's helping us accelerate our mana while also having a dinosaur on the field. Got Runic Armasaur. Anytime an opponent activates an ability of a creature land that isn't a mana ability, we get to draw a card. Commander games, people are going to be activating stuff all the time. This is going to get a early creature out because it's, again, 3 mana and giving us some extra draw to make sure we hit our land drops and kind of get our puzzle pieces so we play the big dinos. Here's a new card, Sunfrill Imitator. This card just becomes a copy of any other dinosaur we control. Kind of cool. We want another copy of one of our big dinosaurs, then we can do that. I should be clear though, it actually only becomes a copy when it attacks, and I think it returns back to this original card after combat. I actually have to look at that ruling, but cool card. Ranging Raptor. Enrage, every time it's dealt damage, we're going to get a basic land put on the battlefield tapped. Kind of an early thing just to play on the field and interact with our opponents, and hopefully we get to block some stuff and get some free lands on the battlefield. Kajali Sunwing, all of our opponents and creatures are going to come in tapped. Kind of slows down the early game to ensure that our opponents don't, come in too fast with some hasty creatures. We got Steve. He's just going to give us a free land. I'm sorry, Steve, it's all you're useful in this, and obviously a blocker. This rounds out the creatures, some of the big ones, some of the little ones. We kind of go in mana ascending order, or descending, depending on how you look at it. But yeah, essentially, we got big dinos, and if the big dinos aren't big enough, then we play things that help us either draw or play more lands to get our big dinos out. Every card in this deck, in some way, is either a big dino or tries to get big dino out. Moving on to some instances in Sorceries, and I guess all the other cards. Got Green Sun Zenith. This card actually got kind of expensive. It's like $10. Search a library for a green card and just put it on the battlefield. Pretty self-explanatory, pretty easy. Got Boros Charm. The main thing with this card, we can deal 4 damage to our opponent, but we're not really going to be doing that unless we, I guess, are in some rare situation where we have to deal exactly 4 damage. But we're going to give our permanents indestructible, or we're going to give our Gishath double strike. So those are the main things with this. Eldamri's Call. This is a little expensive, like $9. Search your library for a creature card, and you get to put it in your hand. Sweet. Explore. We got a mana ramping card. Play additional land this turn, and we get to draw a card. Got Farseek. Just kind of getting some other land. This can also hit your shock lands, so kind of good. And we get to put that on the battlefield tapped. Heroic Intervention. Protect all your creatures. They're gonna gain hexproof and indestructible. This card did come down in price. It's like almost $10 now, so not super expensive. Definitely really impactful. You can use it pretty much in any green deck that's running a lot of creatures. Nature's Lore. Definitely picked this card up. This card was pretty expensive for a little while. Now it's like $2. So yeah, this is good because it's a forest and you get to put it on the battlefield. It doesn't say tapped. you can put it untapped, so you can actually use it. So technically, this card kind of costs 1 mana. I mean, that's one way of looking at it, but ramp card. Speaking of ramp, we got ramp growth, pretty generic in every other deck. Same thing, Thunderherd Migration. This is a rampant growth, but you just have to reveal a dinosaur from your hand. We got Cultivate, you get two lands on the battlefield, 2 basic lands. This card, same thing, we're going to search our library for lands. If we control a creature power 4 or greater, we get to search the library for 3 lands and put them out of battlefield, so we do have to sacrifice a land, but it's still some pretty good value. Grow from the Ashes, more mana ramping stuff. I don't want to kind of go into detail with all these because they're all kind of the same thing. Kodama's Reach, same thing, mana ramp. And this is Pilgrimage, more mana ramp. It's got Spell Mastery though, so if things are in a graveyard, we get to do some extra stuff. Same thing with this. We can actually get gates with this. I'm not running a lot of gates anymore, but this can still hit basic lands, so that's why it's in the deck. Migration Path, same thing. We're getting more mana ramp. Moving on to some removal. Wrath of God. Wrath of God is cheap right now, like $1-2. Definitely pick up a copy. Just destroy all the creatures. Pretty basic. Needed in especially a deck like this where, again, we're not doing anything early game and we're going to need a way to, again, come back or make sure our opponents aren't getting too far ahead. Cleansing Nova, kind of similar. Destroy all creatures. Or we can also destroy all artifacts or enchantments. A little bit more versatile. Star of Extinction, kind of fitting on archetype. Destroy pretty much every creature in Planeswalker. And we can destroy a land just for some random reason. Blasphemous Act. I'm trying to run a lot of removal that's kind of board wiping. I'm still deciding how much I should be running, like card wise. I think we're running 4, maybe 5 board wipes. That might not be enough, but also you don't want to run too many. You really only need to see 1 or 2 early game, or like early to mid game. But yeah, anyway, just thought for myself. That rounds out the spells actually. So spells pretty much destroy things or grow our board with mana. That's pretty much in a nutshell all these cards. Obviously, yeah, we do have some protection and stuff, but Colossal Majesty, if we control a creature power 4 greater, on our upkeep, get to draw a card. We usually will, so that's going to ensure that we get some free cards. Rhythm of the Wild, creature spells can't be countered. I dislike blue a lot. I hate getting countered. I just think it's cheeky, but I understand it. It's part of the game. It's fun, but cards like this, that's why I run cards like this, to ensure that I can get around those counters. Also, non-token creatures have a riot, so enter the battlefield, they can either get haste or a +1 counter. Definitely a really good card for the deck. Really any creature deck in general. We got Domri, the Anarch of Bolas. Creatures we get +1. We can also add some extra mana and those spells can't be countered. Also, we can fight some things, but that +1 ability is lethal in this deck. I decided to keep the Samut because this gives creature double strike. So giving our Gishath double strike is just too good. We can also minus it to ping 2 of our creatures if we want to proc the Enraged. So having that is just pretty, I guess, versatile and nice. If we do alter, we can search the library for 2 creature cards or Planeswalkers and put them on the battlefield. That's pretty good if you get there, but I don't think it's necessarily needed because we run Gishath. The plus ability is primary, the minus ability secondary if we have enraged stuff. So overall, I think good enough for the deck that it should be ran. We got Key to the City. We tap it, discard a card. 1 creature can't be blocked this turn. This kind of ensures that Gishath is going to be able to hit in for maximum damage. If we do this with double strike, we're hitting for 14, so we can reveal like 14 cards from a library and potentially hit 14 monsters or creatures. Whenever this becomes untapped, we can also pay some mana and draw some additional cards. Lifecrafter's Bestiary, upkeep, we get to scry, see what's on top, and then every time we cast a creature, we can pay with additional 1 mana and draw a card. And then we're running some mana rocks, pretty standard stuff: Command Sphere, Arcane Signet, Prismatic Lens, Swift Boots, all just pretty generic stuff. Then moving on to some lands. I don't have like the best mana base I think here, but this is what I got working right now. We got Rootbound Crag, Temple Garden, we got the Shock Land, got Cinderglade. This is a new one, Relentless Ridgeline. This actually could become a creature land, Dinosaur. Definitely would add this to the Dinosaur deck for obvious reasons. Got things like Sunpetal Grove, Stomping Grounds, another kind of shock land. Got this card, it's basically an Evolving Wild for the Naya colors, and we get to gain a life. Like this card, because we get 2 basic lands when we sacrifice it. Evolving Wilds and Terramorphic Expanse. Kind of just basic, semi-budget options. I do have some fetch lands that I probably might add in replace of those, but I don't absolutely feel the need to add those. Maybe that's dumb. Got Canopy Vista, Jungle Shrine, Unclaimed Territory called Dinosaur, Path of Ancestry. Every time we cast a creature that shares a color with our commander, we get the Scry. So pretty cool. Command Tower. This is a good one. You're going to pay basically 5 mana, but you're going to give a creature double strike. Double strike again, really good in here. And this is going to make our creature, a creature unblockable. Then I'm running with 9 forest, 6 mountain, 6 plain. You definitely really need the forest in this, obviously, to play your spells that allow you to ramp. Also, this mana base, I definitely wouldn't just copy it because there's a lot of things to consider. One thing is we're running a lot of different ways to search for lands, and they have to be actually basic lands. So if you're running all these ramp spells and you don't have enough targets or basic lands to actually ramp into them or use them, you kind of need to consider adding more basic lands to the deck. I think I'm at like 21, which I think is good enough, but definitely I think 15 would be too low. 10 is definitely way too low. So just things to consider. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but this was like, these are some of like other cards I considered, and I have all reasonings for not. I mean, Rampant Growth is in the deck already, but there's a lot of cards in here that either were cheap and cards I picked up for the other deck or the budget version deck. Like this, the new Itai is just so much better. This is still a good card and it's cool, but it's not as good enough. And just kind of cycling through some of them. Yeah, like, again, there's a lot of these cards are good. Even like Carnage Tyrant, this card's great too. There's just so many good dinosaurs, but there's not like enough space. I decided to not run the Marauding Raptor. This works really good, I think, in the Enraged deck, but I don't think I needed it here. You can even add another Dami Raid. You can add more Planeswalkers. We have all these Planeswalkers, but again, I'm kind of just maximizing on the when I play Gishath, I want to make sure that all my hits are going to be creatures, or at least big ones. So having some Planeswalker that might not help with that, I decided to limit that. There's obviously a lot of choices and things I decided on here that people might disagree with or decide to change, but that's the beauty of building a deck and having fun with it. You get to build similar decks, but have possibly different options and choices. Definitely the card you're probably like, why did he not add this, was Galta Stampede Tyrant. I will be buying that soon. It's like 12, 13 bucks right now. I just don't feel like spending the money on that. I mean, it's an amazing card for this deck. There's no doubt in my mind. I will be buying that eventually. If it goes like $5, yeah, I'll pick it up, but I don't need it right now. I got all these other cool dinosaurs, and I know that card will eventually come down in price, so I just don't feel like spending the money. But yeah, that is the #1 card that I need for this deck. If there's any other cards that I did not add to the deck that you think I should, let me know down below. Love chatting about dinosaurs and other Magic decks, so definitely hit me up in the comments. Thanks for coming to the video and hanging out. If you enjoyed the content, definitely check out some of the videos on the channel. Take care, everybody. I'll see you around.